Ask instead the question, what does God want you to do? And that's a really dangerous question if you've ever actually asked that question, because it's not uncommon that what I want to do and what God wants me to do are two very different things. And so, my senior year of high school in particular, anytime I'd approach it from, what does the Lord want me to do? It was pretty apparent the Lord was like, look, bud, like, this priesthood thing might be for you. And anytime it was, well, what do I want to do? It was basically, look, anything but the priesthood will do. And so two polar opposites. And so internally, most of my senior year of high school, I was experiencing this kind of internal struggle, this internal tug of war, where I would, try to convince myself literally every day, like this sounds so terrible, but this is what I was going through. Every day I would try to convince myself, no, you shouldn't pursue the priesthood, like go to college, it'll be great. And yet I knew, like when I was actually quiet, when I wasn't super busy, when I was honest with myself, that like no, I really need to pursue the priesthood. And not knowing for certain that that's what I would end up doing, but I knew that I had to give it a chance. So one thing I learned, and actually I learned this after I entered the seminary, it would have been helpful to know or to have a better idea of when I was in high school. Most men who enter the seminary don't get ordained. Most of them leave. Only about a third or so of the men who actually enter stay and get ordained. And there's something very freeing about that, because you can go, and the expectation isn't, okay, you walk through that door, and the next time you walk out, you're going to be a priest. Like, that's not the expectation. The expectation is you're here to pray, you're here to learn, you're here to grow, and to hear God's voice. And if that voice becomes clearer and clearer that He wants you to be a priest, do it. If that voice becomes clearer and clearer, no, don't be a priest, then don't. And leave, and then you're free to marry or do whatever else. So I didn't have the best idea of that in high school. I thought it was a much, more impactful decision than it actually could have been. So still though, I thought, okay, I need to at least give the priesthood a chance, I guess. I knew this, but the Lord had to do a little extra work on me. He had to kind of beat it into me for me to finally admit that to an extent that I would do something about it. And so when I graduated from high school, it was announced at my high school graduation that I'd be going to Creighton University in Omaha. Had a roommate, had it all lined up. That's what I was going to be doing. And yet inside, I knew that's not really right. I shouldn't be doing that. But still, I was trying to convince myself that that's what I should be doing. So, because I wasn't getting the message like in the midst of normal life, the first thing that happened is I got really sick. I got some terrible intestinal thing. I don't know exactly what it was, but I had some terrible intestinal thing, and I could literally not be more than 10 feet from a bathroom for 2 weeks. I spent the vast majority of that time on the couch in our basement at home, and that made me stop and be quiet and actually confront everything that I tried to ignore as best I could all the time by being busy and active and interested in a whole host of other stuff. It became very clear then, like, yes, okay, Lord, I get it. Yes, you're right. I need to enter the seminary. But I was still afraid. I needed something more to get me over the line. And so two particular things happened. One was I was at Mass on Sunday. Our pastor was preaching a homily. Focus was on stewardship, but not stewardship in the sense of monetary stewardship. Stewardship in the sense of the Lord has given us our lives and everything in them. How can we do anything but give our whole lives back to Him? And he said that. Like I still remember exactly where I was sitting, and I looked at the crucifix in church, and him saying that broke me. Just like, okay, Lord, I get it. Like, you're right. I'm going to enter the seminary. And yet, I drug my feet. So 10 days later, on the 13th of June, now, so again, this is weeks after high school graduation, supposed to leave for college in 2 months. 13th of June, I'm there in my house, and this is back when we had a landline, right? And so I have the house phone in my hand, and I know I need to call Father Mike Butler, who's the vocations director for the Archdiocese. He's the one, I had seen him before on some of these